Now, the program to help you and your family get fit and stay fit with a biblical foundation without a one-size-fits-all plan. It's Faith Family Fitness with your host, Full Armor Sports and national champion coach, Jason Lupo.
Welcome and good morning. This is Faith Family Fitness on 100.7 The Word, a show that's about you, your family, your health, and most importantly, your relationship with God. Our topic today is childhood obesity, and more so, our topic today is on a broader issue, the broader issue of normalization and of settling in today's world, and settling for subpar standards and normalizing the things that we don't understand, the things that we can't change. And we see it clearly in the history of our country and our physical fitness and our physical education requirements in our children. And so we're going to touch on the history of childhood obesity, the history of physical education in this country, and how we got to where we are today. And even more so, we're going to talk about what we can change, how we can make a difference, and why not all of our youth programs are really set up to teach our kids the valuable life lessons that they need to know in order to change. And so this show is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little deeper dive in a specific topic. But I think that it's relevant, regardless of whether or not you have children, regardless of how old your kids are, if they're grown and out of the house. But this topic really, truly is an example and an illustration of what is going on with so much of our country. And so stick with us after this short time out as we talk about these things, as we talk about how we can change the outcomes for our children. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
Thanks for listening to Faith Family Fitness, a presentation of Full Armor Sports Teams. Teamwork is at the core of any successful organization. Full Armor Sports, led by national champion coach Jason Lupo, is now registering for school year sports programs. Full Armor is a multi-sport teaching and training organization with homeschool options available. All of Full Armor sports coaches are certified and experts in their field. Full Armor's coaches combine for over 500 years of coaching experience. They will help your kids gain fundamental skills, the concepts of teamwork, essential to being successful throughout their lives. Multiple sports options are available now, from swimming, softball and volleyball, to powerlifting and youth MMA. The faith-based approach to making sports fun and productive are a great choice for your kids at Full Armor Sports Teams. Learn more at fullarmorsportsteams.com.
Welcome back to Faith Family Fitness on 100.7 The Word. Our topic today is childhood obesity and also the broader understanding of what is going on in our country. And so what we need to know is one of the biggest epidemics that is facing our country is childhood obesity. 2017 to 2020, an estimated 19.7% of our children fell into this obese category. 14.7 million children in this country. And it's a growing trend. Just look back to 1976 to 1980. That number was only 5.5%. We've grown over time, year after year, with very little regression. We haven't really made any positive impact in this number since 1976. We are just going to continue to grow and continue to grow that number. A 2015 Youth Risk Behavior Surveillance Report stated that just over half of high school students had PE one or more times during an average school week. Less than 30% had PE every day. And the CDC backs up all of that research and goes a little further and says that 24% of children participate in 60 minutes of physical activity per day. That's it. Only 24% of our children in this country participate in the recommended amount of physical activity per day. And why does this matter? We know that 80% of children that are obese will become obese as an adult. But is it just PE? Does PE actually make a difference? Can we make a difference with physical education in our country? A 2012 study, National Survey on Children's Health, found that PE alone generally did not have any impact on boys' physical activity levels or obesity, and it only had a marginal impact and effect on girls. 2015 review and study of the Texas Fitness Now program basically says that only slight improvements were found in fitness skills, and there was no impact on BMI or academic achievement. And so we have to ask the question, why do we even have PE? Why do we have physical education in this country? And the truth is that most of our physical education laws, most of our physical education requirements in this country stems all the way back to World War II. World War II, when 45% of the first 2 million males that were drafted failed their physical tests. We look back even further in history and we find that military fitness was first brought to the attention in the U.S. by Teddy Roosevelt, who recalled in his autobiography, many of the older officers were so unfit physically that their condition would have excited laughter had it not been so serious to think that they belonged to the military arm of the government. His response to that was to create physical fitness assessments in the military. Physical fitness assessments that are still with us today. They've changed over the course of time. They continue to change. But we still have physical fitness assessments in our military because of Teddy Roosevelt. And we fast forward, not too long after that, to Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was concerned about the results of an international study. And those results found that American children were far less fit than children in other countries. His response was to create the President's Council on Youth Fitness. And then we fast forward even further to John F. Kennedy, who was so concerned about the health of our population that he penned an article just after the election that was titled "The Soft American" in Sports Illustrated. Our PE classes are not setting our kids up for success. We saw that in the 2012 study and the 2015 study I mentioned earlier. But why? We have a greater, broader issue in this country, and the epidemic of childhood obesity paints just a small image of that problem. It's this idea of settling. It's this idea of normalizing things that we cannot change, things that we don't understand. And so we settle. We normalize. If you look at the Google Trends of people that have been researching the topic or searching the keyword childhood obesity, we had a giant spike in the early 2000s. Went all the way up to the 100 marker. The 100 marker. To give you an idea, we hit the 100 marker during the NBA season. NBA was searched that many times on Google. But over the course of just 15, 16 years, the amount of people searching about information about childhood obesity is down to 25. 75% change. And over the course of 15 years, we've made no noticeable difference in the health of our children. And we've settled for what we currently have. We've settled for subpar standards. We've consistently lowered our standards in this country in just about every walk of life. We have normalized subpar performance. And the question becomes why? Why have we done so? If you look at Richard Lerner, he wrote plenty of articles, and he crafted these 5 C's of positive youth development: competence, connection, confidence, character, contribution. And so when we look at youth programs as a whole, whether it's what the schools are providing, what private companies, what private teams are providing, nonprofit, for-profit, doesn't matter. We have to go back to this idea. We have to start with this idea of competence. I remember back a long time ago when we talked about the psychology of fitness, of health change, when I was doing my undergrad. And there's this idea of self-efficacy. Does the person in front of you that you are teaching, do they have the knowledge to not only do the skill, but do they feel like they can by themselves accomplish that task on an ongoing basis? Do they have enough knowledge? Are they confident enough in their skills that they can continue to do that task with or without you present? Have we created that in our schools? Have we created that in our kids? Do our kids seriously have the competence level to perform the physical activity that's required of them? Day in, day out, 60 minutes a day. Even the kids that are in youth programs, youth sports programs, are they getting the 60 minutes a day? Most of our schools in this country don't have PE at an elementary level. So we sign them up for soccer. They show up to practice once a week. They have a game once a week on the weekend. Is that their 60 minutes a day? Have we set them up? Do they have the competence to go home and practice? Do they have the competence to get better on their own? Do they have that self-efficacy? I don't think so. I don't think that we've set those kids up for success. And we have that idea of connection. For youth programs to truly serve our youth, we have to create every one of these C's. We have to provide a safe environment. We have to provide a place where kids can get connected. And so sure, maybe they're on their sports teams, they're connected. Maybe they're connected at school. Have we created that connection to a point where kids want to be there? Have we helped develop that? Then we move into confidence. Do we have kids that are confident in their abilities? We've taken playgrounds out. We've minimized recess times. Most of our kids struggle with basic motor skills. And it's changed over time because I've coached for a long time. And the difference between 10 years ago and now in the ability for kids to understand how their body works, how their body moves, has drastically changed. It's drastically changed because we've changed how we allow our kids to play. We've taken things off the playground that are deemed unsafe. We've limited the amount of time that they're outside. Video games, cell phones, laptops, all of that has had a negative effect on our kids and their ability and their basic motor skills. So do they even have the confidence to perform the tasks that we're asking them to perform? Do they have the balance? Do they have the body awareness? Do they have the fitness? Those are things that we have struggled to provide to our kids. And sure, PE can make a drastic difference in that, if done right. But then we have the situation of we already have unconfident kids, and unconfident kids don't necessarily make the best learners. So we have PE being one of the top skipped classes. We have parents signing their kids out for PE. They schedule doctor's appointments during PE because it's just PE. But it has a broader effect on our world, on our country, on our healthcare systems, on the costs that we absorb as a society. We have to, as a society, start looking at physical education as something that is important, something that's necessary in the lives of our kids. And until we start doing that, we're going to continue to have these problems. But we put unconfident kids in a situation where we clearly need confidence to perform at a high level and meet the expectations of what's required of them. And we have not created that. We haven't created that confidence. And if you don't have that confidence, all the rest of it is done. We can't achieve what we're looking to achieve when the kids don't even have the basic confidence. And so there's articles being written. PE should be removed from schools because it makes kids feel bad. We've settled. For those of you that have been listening to the show, you know that I own Full Armor sports teams. I work with kids in a variety of different sports. I don't coach all of them, but I work with almost all of our athletes in and out of the gym. We have volleyball players. We have softball players. I've got swimmers. I have power lifters. We have martial artists. And I love every single one of our kids. And they've grown so much. They've gotten better at their sports. They've developed the skills. But I don't allow our kids to settle. I don't allow our kids to settle for anything less than the expectation that I have for them and the expectations that they have for themselves. And so we have kids that set high goals. Most of our kids are dreamers. If you've ever met a kid and you ask them their goals in life, ask a really young kid. They've got some huge dream. Even when you ask high schoolers, they still have huge dreams. And we have these huge dreams. We have these kids with these massive dreams, these massive expectations of what they want in their life. But we do nothing to reinforce the behaviors that are required for our kids to meet their dreams. So we've started changing the way that we coach. I've started changing the way that I coach because I don't let kids settle anymore. If you have a goal, if you want to meet a high level of expectation that you've set for yourself, if you want to swim and hit that state qualifying cut, we are going to do what's required to get there. And so often our kids are also used to settling. And so we have kids that make technical errors and you harp on them and you harp on them and you say, hey, you got to change this, you got to change this. And they don't. It happens in every sport. It happens all the time. It happens throughout the country. I'm not alone in this battle. This is something we face every day. But the difference between how I coached 6-7 years ago and how I coach today is I'm going to give kids the opportunity to try and get it right. We're going to redo it. We're going to redo that task. I'm going to give you the opportunity to change what you just did. And if we don't change it, I'm going to give you the opportunity again. And if you don't change it, I'm going to give you the opportunity again. There's no settling. The suicide rate, the youth suicide rate in this country has skyrocketed. It has skyrocketed. It is now the third leading cause of death for kids and adolescents in this country. It has skyrocketed. 1 out of every 5 deaths in the state of Colorado is in youth is from suicide. And I think part of this is we go back to this idea of normalization. We have states across the country that are normalizing physician-assisted suicide. Suicide has become, in the minds of the people in this country, an out. It is an option. And it didn't used to be an option. It used to have a stigma, but now it's normalized. It's normalized, and our kids and our society sees it as a possible out. We've got to stop allowing our kids, our society, to settle. We've got to stop making the things that we don't understand normal. And even more than just making it normal, it's become accepted. It's accepted because we can't change it, because we don't want to offend. We just allow it to happen. We make it normal in this country. We have normalized childhood obesity. We have normalized suicide. We have normalized setting subpar academic standards in our school. And that is what is leading to these issues. We've forgotten about what is required to create youth development programs that create positive impacts in the lives of our kids. We're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, we're going to finish up our talk on childhood obesity and the normalization of issues in our country.
Thanks for listening to Faith Family Fitness, a presentation of Full Armor Sports Teams. Teamwork is at the core of any successful organization. At Full Armor Sports, led by national champion coach Jason Lupo, a Christ-centered approach to sports fundamentals and fitness has earned his company the respect of athletes and their parents. Full Armor Sports is committed to helping youth in our community experience growth through sports and to strive for improvement and excellence. Further, youth compete as individuals, coming together with a sense of teamwork, camaraderie, and support for one another. At Full Armor Sports, the reality is achievements, failures, wins, and losses eventually fade away. But the bonds team members form through competition evolve into relationships lasting forever. Learn more at fullarmorsports.com.
Welcome back to Faith Family Fitness on 100.7 The Word. Today we talked about childhood obesity. And more so, we talked about the broader impact of normalization and of settling in our country. Settling for subpar performance. And settling for what we don't understand and what we can't change. And we've seen it time and time again throughout our country, throughout history. In the last 15 years, I'm pretty sure you can look back and look at things that 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we didn't see as normal. We saw as something that could still be changed. And so we have to ask the question, is our settling, is the normalization of issues in our country what's leading to some of these problems? Is that what's leading to the fact that we have youth programs that are truly not setting up our youth for success? And so I beg you today to take a look at what's going on in your children's schools, what's going on in their youth programs. And I urge you that if you don't have a place for your kids, I strongly recommend that you go to fullarmorsportsteams.com. Go to fullarmorsportsteams.com, get plugged in, give me a call, get your kids out to one of our programs. Maybe it's powerlifting, maybe it's martial arts, maybe it's swimming. We provide cost-effective youth sports programs for kids across the Front Range. Programs that are not going to break the bank. Programs that are going to impact your kids in a positive way. We've tried hard to make sure that we meet those 5 C's of positive youth development in our programs, that we set up the kids that we have in our programs for success. If you've enjoyed listening to this show, I strongly urge you to support us by going to fullarmorsportsteams.com if you have questions about any of our sports programs. But also, if you have questions about this program or want to provide some input, maybe you have a question you want answered on the show, email questions@faithfamilyfit.org. Join us next week, same time, same place, 9 a.m. on Saturdays, 100.7 The Word.
This has been Faith Family Fitness with Coach Jason Lupo of Full Armor Sports Teams of Colorado Springs. Join him at the same time next week for Faith Family Fitness on The Word 100.7.